Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the basics of writing letters and emails. We will find answers to the four questions, and then I will show you some examples of test tasks and the marking criteria. Now, let's look at the first question. Why do we need to write a letter or an email? Of course, it is for communicative purposes. Usually, we use spoken communicative forms like I say something to you and you respond to me. Besides spoken communication, we also have written communication. So it is also a way for us to interact and convey messages to other people. It usually sounds more professional than just talking because other people can keep a record or keep records of all the conversations. For example, to be absent from class, or you want to ask your boss to have a kind of short holiday because you are too stressed, instead of just telling him, usually we will send him or her a letter asking for permission because this way is more professional than just asking. And in the test, you are also required to compose a letter or an email sometimes. When do we need to write a letter or email? In real life, you may want to write or you may have to write a letter when you want to apply for a scholarship or a job, or you ask for permission, like to absent from class or from work, when you want to apologize for a mistake, but you are too ashamed to say directly your apology to the other person. When you want to thank somebody for a favor, but unfortunately you cannot meet him or her in person. When you want to claim insurance, when you want to complain about service, up to now there are three most famous tests that are known to require the candidates to write letters. The first one is the IELTS general module. The second one is the VSTEP test. This test is very famous with teachers in Vietnam. And then we have the entrance exam to CNN High School. In those tests, the test designers will want to simulate the situation where you need to write a letter in real life. How many types of letters or email are there? We can categorize the types of letter or email based on the tone or the register of the email. And then we will have formal letter when you do not know the recipient very well. And it will start with the phrase to whom it may concern, like when you apply for a new job or when you apply for a scholarship. Or you may want to write a formal letter if you are writing to your senior, like your boss or your supervisor, your tutor, or your teacher. And in those formal letters, you will have to use academic words or complex structures, and you will have very formal layout. But then you will have informal letter when you are very close to the recipient, like your friends or your relatives, your mom, your dad, your siblings, and so on. You will use colloquial language, like a lot of phrasal verbs and idioms and short forms, and then you can have quite informal layout. And you may use some short phrases as well. So, and another way for us to categorize types of letter is based on the purpose of writing. Then we will have the letter apology when you want to apologize, a letter of invitation when you want to invite somebody to a party, and then we have letter of application, letter of complaint, or letter of condolence for a sad event. What is there in a letter or an email? Usually there are three main parts in a letter or an email. And there is the opening part or the salutation or opening remarks, and the main part, and then the closing remarks like yours sincerely, your truthfully, and then you will sign. But usually in the test, you are not required and you are not allowed to sign, because it is the way you are trying to implying to the examiner that who you are. You are trying to reveal yourself to the examiner. In the test, you are required to write about 150 words, and you should write no fewer words than that. However, the problem is that some of you might be very productive and very prolific, and you might be able to write up to 200 words in length. The advice is that you should keep your letter short, your letter and email short, even in real life. Nobody has time to read a long letter. So you should try your best to make your letter kind of concise. It means that your letter should be clear and it should be short because nobody has time to read a very long letter. And then in the test, you might be overlapping yourself if you write a letter for too long. Now, let's see specifically what is there in each of the part. In the opening remark, you will say hello to the recipient. And then you will have to state the purpose of writing. This usually take you 2 to 3 sentences. And it should be about 30 words in length. And then you have the main part. Remember to organize the main part in paragraphs. You should not write a letter which consists only of one paragraph. You should separate it into different paragraphs. And remember, the test usually have 3 main points which you will have to address in your letter. So if possible, try to separate each of the point into a different paragraph. Okay, and then you should give details about the message you want to get across, you want the recipient to know about. And remember to include reasons and explanation. And also, you should arrange your ideas logically. You should finish with one part or one point, one requirement before moving to the next. Do not mix them together. Okay, and then we have the closing remarks. You should have a short summary of what you have been written throughout the main part. And then you have some kind of expectation, wish or hope, like I look forward to receiving your reply, kind of that. And then yours sincerely, yours faithfully, yours truly, with lots of love or best regards. My advice here is for you to use the phrase best regards. Best regards is one of the most popular ending remarks nowadays because it is kind of neutral. It's not too formal and it's not too informal, and then it would be very suitable. Okay. Let's look at some example of the test task. Here we have the test 1, question 61, taken from the book Bộ đề luyện thi chuyên Trung học phổ thông 1 tiếng Anh. Okay, like here, you are An, the president of the youth club in your secondary school. On behalf of the members, write a letter to invite a famous person to give a speech at one of your club's meeting. In your letter, you should introduce your club, give reasons why you want to invite this person, and then tell him or her about the arrangement for the meeting. So you will see that this is kind of a formal letter because you do not know the famous person very well, and he or she is also kind of your senior. So you should write a very formal letter to this person. And then we have test 6 and question 61. Also, you are on, imagine you are on, a public event is going to be held in your neighborhood, and you think that your friend will be interested in it. Write a letter to your friend, and in your letter, you should introduce the event, explain why you think it might attract your friend, and say when and where to meet each other when attending this event. So if you pay attention, you will see that there are 3 main requirements. So in order to get the maximal point, you will need to address all of the main points in your letter. So separate your the main part of your letter into at least 2 paragraphs and try to address all of the main points here. And remember, you do not need to write any address, and you also do not need to sign your name because you are An. So in the test, they are giving you a name to make sure that you are not trying to reveal yourself to the examiner. Um, about the marking criteria. In the test, you will be marked according to 4 criteria. First one, we have task achievement, coherence and cohesion, grammar and vocab. Now, let's look at the first criterion, task achievement. So in order to get a high score for task achievement, you should have a suitable register, whether it is formal or informal or something in between. You should be very clear. You should cover all the requirements of the task, 3 main points usually, and then you should develop all the points well. It means that you should give explanation and reason for your points. It's not just about stating the point, and remember also to use different language. I mean that the meaning should stay the same, but the language or the expressions should be different from the requirements of the task. And then we have coherence and cohesion. This judge your ability to organize ideas logically and naturally. And then you should use a range of linking devices like however, nevertheless, despite, although, in spite of, because, kind of that, to link the ideas. And then you should organize the idea logically. You should finish with one idea before moving to the next instead of mingling all the ideas together. And then grammar. In grammar, we will look at the variety of the structures and the accuracy of the structure as well, and also the punctuation. Like variety, you should use a range of both simple and complex structures. Um, it would be very unnatural for you to use complex structures all the time. So remember to use a mixture of both simple and complex structures. And then for accuracy, you should try to limit your mistakes. That's why proofreading is very important. So you should try to limit, and it would be best if you make no mistakes in grammar when you're writing. But it's okay to have 1 or 2 or 3 mistakes as long as the mistake will not interfere with the reader comprehension. And then we have vocabulary. Vocabulary is also about variety and accuracy. Variety, you will have to use a range of both simple and complex vocabulary, but it should be related to the topic. It would be very unnatural and very silly to use a lot of big words, academic words, but totally irrelevant to the topic or the letter you are writing about. Then it would be counterproductive. So remember to use simple and complex vocab, but it should be related to the topic. And then we have the accuracy. So remember to use the words correctly or accurately, right? So basically we have covered all the parts. I want to tell you about writing letters. Of course, for each of the types of letter, we should have a different video to introduce the structure and the layout, and we should read some kind of example. But due to the limit, to the time limit, then I will not cover everything here today in just one single video. So I hope that you have learned something throughout this video. And thank you for listening, and look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.